welcome back to the Bring Your Own Book Club. All the fun of a book club, none of the homework. Today, I am joined by a very special guest, my cousin Kylie, who is the owner and proprietor of Copper Cactus and Stardust Books in Clarkdale.
Mhm.
And I will have information for you right here in the edit. Hello, gentle listeners. This is Jill from the editing process with the promised information about Stardust Books. If you actually want to own your audiobooks and support independent booksellers, which why wouldn't you? Set Stardust Books as your local bookshop on the website or app. To explore books or sign up for Libro FM or to switch your Audible subscription to Libro FM, just go to Libro.fm to learn more. No.com, just Libro.fm. For traditional print book lovers or ebook lovers who would also like to support Stardust Books, you can do so at bookshop.org. You can find Stardust Books there at bookshop.org/shop/Stardust Books. For their own website, go to stardustbookseller.com, all one word. And you can find out more information and get up to date on all the offerings there at Stardust Bookseller on Instagram. Have a great day. Back to the episode. All right. So, Kylie, how about you start by telling me the name of the book and the author that you read this week and a little summary?
Okay. The book that I brought is Haunting Adeline, and it is a spicy dark romance by H.D. Carlton. The summary of the book would be that a young lady has a stalker and that she also has a family history and a murder mystery to solve.
Ooh.
And then there's like this underground society of pedophiles. And
Whoa.
so that is part of it, and how somebody's trying to right that wrong.
Got it. Very interesting.
It's a
Well,
lot.
well, we've had a lot of people read lots of different kinds of
Mm-hmm.
romances so far on the podcast, from romantasy to like stuff that's a little bit more grounded, but no like horror vibes
Yeah.
romance, which is
So,
pretty interesting.
yeah, dark romance is pretty popular right now. It usually involves like secret societies, mafia. There's usually some serial killing going on.
Just some light
Um,
serial killing in my romance book, no big deal.
these are the guys that are going to burn down the world to save the girl. They are not going to sacrifice the girl to save the world.
That's very interesting. That's an interesting draw.
Yes.
My book is also very fantasy, but
Okay.
not romance. It's fine. My policy on this book club is I never judge the genre anyone reads.
No,
That is the
not at
whole
all.
point of the book club is everyone gets
Yes.
to read what they want. So
Okay.
my book, my book is called The Book of Doors. Oh, I can't. It's noisy background made it go away. The Book of Doors by
Mhm.
Gareth Brown. And it is a really interesting fantasy book about a young woman who she's kind of a loner in the world. She's just quiet and soft spoken,
Mhm.
and she works at a bookshop in New York. And there's this guy, this old man, who comes in to talk with her near the end of her shift every day and is friendly, clearly kind of lonely.
Mhm.
And one day he dies. He's just an old man. It's not like a murder. It's
Mhm.
just he's old and he was there and he died. And after she calls the police, she notices he dropped a book that appears to be handwritten and very old. And when she
Mhm.
opens it, it says, Cassie, this is for you. This is the Book of Doors.
Yeah.
With it, any door is every door. And she realizes that if she like can picture an image to a door, she can go through it anywhere in the world. She can remember going backpacking through like Europe and
Uh-huh.
have a vivid memory and then walk through the door to Spain. It's really
Wow.
interesting. Yeah,
That sounds amazing.
it's really amazing and really whimsical and
Uh-huh.
fantastical. The problem, though, that she encounters is that while this book is new to her, there is a society of, shall we say, underground collectors
Mm-hmm.
who are very familiar with books like these because it turns out there are more than one.
Oh,
Only
wow.
one book per thing, so there's only one book
Mm-hmm.
of doors, but there's like the book of pain and the book of control.
Ooh.
And of all the books that there are, the book of doors is the most sought after. And so
Mm-hmm.
now she's in danger.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
So I
ew,
am
that sounds so good.
I am so excited to talk about this book with someone. I've been bursting at the seams.
So
Um,
that sounds like a book I would read. I have a hard time with world building, which is why I think sometimes I struggle with fantasy. But a book like that, where you don't have the world building, but you have the fantasy piece, I think that I would really enjoy.
yeah, it's definitely just set in the modern world,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have to be explained the world before you go in. It's sort of
Okay.
explained along the way. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh wow, people have known about these books for a while. Oh wow, this is a person who has a pretty dangerous book, and it sort of comes together around you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I think you'd really like it if this is your reaction.
That is really
Um,
good.
so I guess my follow-up question is, what drew you to this book? What made you stop and say, that's the book I want to read?
Haunting Adeline,
Hmm.
because it's like the poster child right now for spicy, dark romance.
Mm.
And I've read a lot. I curate the spice rack here at the Copper Cactus. And I have like a spicy book club that I facilitate. And so I feel like I just really needed to read the poster child for dark romance and spice.
That's
Um,
fun. So is it like a new release, like it came out this year?
no, it's been out for a couple years, but like, your TBR is so big that
Yeah.
like when you finally get to it, so I'm like, okay, I have to read this because it is like the poster child for it's kind of like how 50 Shades of Grey so long ago started
Mm.
that era. This one started this era of the spice books.
And so you run the Spice Rack. Clearly, you're drawn to like
Hmm.
romance fiction. Are you particularly drawn to dark romance or just all romance?
Um, I wasn't. I hadn't read a fictional book in like 10 years. And then when I went on a cruise and I ran out of books, I picked up it was a book written by, oh, I can't remember her name, but it was a book called Verity. And it was the first like spice book I'd read or romance book, but it was super spicy. I'm like, you know what? This is not bad. And
Interesting.
then like the more I read and the more I talk to people that read, I really like it because I feel like women feel very empowered reading these very sexual things. And it's not even, things that they want in their life, but I think they just feel very empowered being comfortable with sexual books and sexual literature and sexuality. And I think it helps them to like even embrace their own.
That makes sense. It's very similar to something I studied when I was in film school, which is most things about sexual pleasure or even women's pleasure in visual media at least tend to be
Mm-hmm.
from a male perspective, like what a man would see when he's with a woman or
Mm-hmm.
how a man looks at a woman. And
Mm-hmm.
I have found that in fiction things tend to explain a feeling better from a female perspective. So it might not even be that, like, and of course it could be, like, of course, sex and stuff is empowering for women generally when
Mm-hmm.
discussed properly, but it's more empowering because it's not as available outside of a literary world.
Correct. Correct. I would say that's true. And I think too, there are a lot of women in the Spice Club, and we talk about different things, and sometimes we will read through our trauma or read through our triggers. and something that maybe a year ago we couldn't read, like now we can read. And
That's really
maybe,
cool.
yeah. So, like, we talk about that a lot. And I think that's why some of us like the dark romance, because maybe we weren't a protected child, or maybe we weren't a protected adult at some point. And so we love that this person would murder anybody that dared to look, at a woman. And so, like, I think for some of us, we've talked about how, like, we kind of like that aspect.
It's a
And so
different
it's,
kind of escapism and a different kind of
mm-hmm,
fantasy that's not rooted in magic, but it's rooted in agency and control
yeah.
over yourself. And I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, I enjoy that aspect of it.
That's really cool. I'm glad that so many women can like gather and talk about
Hmm.
these things. Are you familiar? We're a big fan on this podcast of a site called doesthedogdie.com.
No.
Uh, just because you mentioned reading through triggers, I will mention this again for our listeners who I'm sure are sick of hearing about it, but it's an app, it's a website, you can find it, and it started because people just wanted a database on whether or not they could watch a movie or a show or read a book and not have to
Hmm.
deal with the thing where the dog dies. So
Hmm.
it would do a database, but it slowly has built up over time
Uh-huh.
uh, to list any trigger that you might have.
Okay.
And so you can look for it and be like, I'm not really ready to read this book right now, or I
Hmm.
am specifically trying to combat this. So this book
Hmm.
has that issue. So it might be something
Yeah.
valuable to your group.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, and I think that it's really cool how people can grow through these literary experiences and literally read through these things that are hard.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
really important. And
Hmm.
that brings me to a question less about the book for right now and more
Hmm.
about you. You have a bookstore. That's so
Yeah.
cool. And like low key a little bit my dream one day. What made you decide to do that and specifically to stock the kinds of
Hmm.
books that you stock?
So what the concept was is I had this extra space where I was running a daycare during COVID. And I'm like, gosh, like, I'm paying for this. I'm here for a year. What can we do with it? So I came up with the concept of Copper Cactus, which is a space where we would have coffee and offer space for rent for local vendors. And so then my friend Joy had a online bookstore, and she had talked about having a brick and mortar location for a long time. And so actually today is our 5th anniversary.
Ah, happy
So
anniversary.
thank you. So I called her and I said, hey, I want to do this concept and I would like to invite you in. And, you can have half the space and I'll have half the space. And I'm going to rent out my half to vendors and do coffee and pop up bakery. And you can have half the space for books. And she's like, I don't know. I don't know. I said, well, you have till tonight to tell me. And then if you don't do it, I'm going to do it. So she took a leap of faith with me. And so now we're celebrating our 5th year. And then I just noticed that we didn't have any romance. And there's so many genres of books. And it just wasn't a genre that we had in the shop. And Joy had so many different genres to focus on. And so I asked her, like, hey, do you mind if I, do the spice books? And she said, no, that's good. Like, one less thing for me. And now I have this space that's called the Spice Rack, and it's a room. I'm actually in here now. And
That's
it
so
just
fun.
nothing but spice books.
That's amazing.
Hmm.
And less about spice, more about your love of reading in general. How did that develop? Is that something that's always been there or something that you connected with
Um,
as an adult?
I just like reading. Like, I would rather listen to an audiobook. I would rather than listen to music.
Hmm.
Um, I love podcasts. I like nonfiction. I love personal development. It's a passion. Um, I like anything that has to do with building coping mechanisms. I'm in school to be a counselor, so it's just something that is a passion of mine. And then when I started reading the nonfiction stuff, I was like, you know what, sometimes it is good to just, or when I started reading fiction, it's good to take a break. Like it's good just to maybe not learn something and just kind of read something that just doesn't take a lot of effort.
Yeah. And there's no stakes in your actual life either, which is a nice
Yeah.
escape because, as adults, we get bogged down with
Yeah.
things.
Well, and I live in such a world of like kids and circle time and my other job being that I work at a daycare, like I just wanted something different to be a part of my day.
Yeah, you went the opposite direction of happy children.
Yeah.
I think it's like a genre that does like female focused fiction in general,
Hmm.
especially romance or sexual fiction, and especially stuff with darker elements. Like, those are all things
Hmm.
that tend to get a pretty bad rap or that people are very critical
Hmm.
of. But I think you've done a really good job of explaining what draws people
Hmm.
to that kind of content without them personally being, you know,
Yeah.
kind of dangerous to be around.
Yeah, like it really doesn't have anything to do with any of those things. And more men are reading spice books. Women are encouraging men to read spice books because, they're reading it and they want to share that with their partners. And then sometimes their partners are like, what? He did what? What happened? Like, it's crazy. And we're like, oh, yeah, that's nothing. But sometimes for like first time spice readers, like, because spice is pretty open door, pretty graphic.
Mhm.
And so I think it's interesting to see how many men are coming on and on TikTok and stuff like that, that they're saying that they are starting to pick up some spice books.
That is really interesting.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not anti-spice. I just haven't read a lot of it. I don't know if you know, it's not like a big deal. I'm like
Mhm.
demisexual, so I just don't have
Okay.
like an urge for that.
Yep.
But like,
Okay.
if it's in fiction that's really well written, I am a
Hmm.
100% here for it. Like, one of my favorite
Okay.
all-time series is Outlander, and that is a spicy book.
Okay.
That's a
Yeah, that's a
spicy
very
series of
spicy book.
books.
Yes.
Yeah. But like,
Have you read like any of the like Fourth Wing or any of that?
no, it's on my list because I've heard really
Okay.
good things about it.
Uh,
Um,
yeah, there's a lot of fantasy and it is, spice, but it's really fun.
yeah, it is really interesting. And I think like one of the reasons I haven't been drawn to it so much in my life is that for a long time, a lot of spice was like so unrealistic, and I felt like I was in someone's personal fantasy, and I was like,
Hmm.
oh, I didn't consent to have a sexual experience with you.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what I like.
Yeah.
But it was when I got to Outlander that it stopped feeling like it was about what the author wanted and was just a natural dimension of these characters' lives,
Yeah.
which I think in general authors across genres have gotten better at incorporating in that way over the past few years.
Yeah, I think that that is true. So yeah, I can see where you would feel that way in some books where you're just like, okay, I didn't want to be there with you.
Yeah, I feel the same way about Ryan Murphy shows. I'm like, I feel like I know too much about something very personal about you.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's what I like about this genre also is there's so many different aspects to it. Like there's wolves and dragons and I mean, we laugh about holiday spice because there's always like you can find just really weird things. And there's one that's called like Wiggle for Me Cranddaddy, which is a
Oh no.
Thanksgiving. I mean, it's like it's so crazy. And so and I think like, there's spice that are like, there's queer spice, there's reverse harem, there's platonic spice. There I mean, you can find anything
That's
in one
amazing.
genre. Like it's yeah, so I mean,
That's really
everybody
cool.
yeah, so what draws you to fantasy?
Well, I like most books, but and I talk about this with my best friend all the time.
Hmm.
Fantasy in general is very exciting to me. Same with science fiction because it has a lot in common with Greek myth.
Okay.
So we know that myths, as well as general religious philosophies, they all have this layer of sort of magic, whether
Mm-hmm.
that's faith based or, you know, woo, dragons kind of based, whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is. It's this it's this thing that's innately appealing to the human experience. That's why people build entire religions and cultures around these elevated ideas that hover above the realistic everyday.
Okay.
And for me, with fantasy books, it's sort of like adding a metaphorical layer over the
Mm-hmm.
reality of life and
Mm-hmm.
allows you to see everyday things in a really new light and experience the way ideas interconnect with each other on a new level, basically.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people really enjoy fantasy, but I think it's because it does give them an opportunity to kind of explore new headspaces
Yeah.
and kind of think outside of their normal thought process.
Yeah, and I think like if you spend all day being creative, I think people tend to be more drawn to like nonfiction, but if you spend all day, really stuck in reality, you tend to be drawn to more fantastical things
Yeah.
because your brain can't do the same thing over and over and over. That's not where dopamine comes from.
No, it needs a break.
So, going back to your book, which is Haunting Adeline, what what did you like best about it? Like what really stood out to you?
What I liked best about it, I really enjoyed the murder mystery part of it and how she was able to pull pieces from all the different aspects of the book to bring the murder mystery together. And so it's like you have all these different storylines going on, but they all kind of interconnect while she's trying to solve this murder mystery.
I really like that. That goes back to like what I was saying earlier, which is like it's not just about, oh, here's a scene. Now they have to make
Mhm.
small talk before they can have sex again. Like
Yeah,
it's
no,
an actual
no.
story
I
and the
mean,
spice is part of
they're
it.
like, oh yeah, no, they're taking down this like undercover human trafficking ring. She's trying to solve a murder that happened that is tied to the history of the house that she lives in.
Mm.
Plus, she has this stalker who's like this dark romance character that he will murder people for her, and he does.
Oh,
Um,
that's
so
a
like
that's a
it's
confusing stalker to have. Please stop stalking
it
me, but
is
thank you.
well, he becomes more than her stalker.
Oh.
It is so good. It is such a good story.
Yeah, it sounds really multi-dimensional.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you come for the spice, you might stay for the storyline, or if you come for the storyline, you might stay for the spice.
That is really interesting. I think that's a really good recommendation. I'm excited for our listeners to dig into this.
Yeah, I hope they
Um,
like it.
yeah. Um, my book, one of the things I loved most about it was, it is very cozy and whimsical, and I typically read a much more grounded kind of fantasy or science fiction. Like there's a kernel of like real world thing that then
Okay.
is like, okay, so this is how this happened. Like I'm currently reading a book
Hmm.
about um historians that can time travel, but it's like based sort of on like an idea that science has advanced in a way that makes this possible. This is
Okay.
just like here's a magic book. And so my concern about it going in was that it would be too unbelievable and too out there and not really grounded in
Uh-huh.
anything. For me, what grounds this book and what makes it go from a fun book to a great book is that the villain, there are two villains, but the scary, scary villain in this story is maybe the scariest villain I've ever encountered
Okay.
Any piece of media.
All right. Now I really want to read it.
Yeah, like it's like, oh, cool, you can do all these things, and oh, they want your book, and hope you get
Mm-hmm.
away. But then it's like, oh no, these stakes are very real.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because most evil people in a story have like a motivation that's tied to something personal.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a villain like that in this book too, that's definitely scary in their own way. But like the big villain, their goal is just to cause pain and death and harm. That something has happened to them, their humanity is not a part of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really scary because there's no control on something like that.
No.
Like there's no reason, there's no getting to the deeper root cause or
Mm-hmm.
disarming that kind of bomb. It's
Yeah.
just terrible. And this really scary person who did, spoiler alert, wildly horrific things to their own parent,
Oh God.
um, was the kind of thing that nightmares are made of before they had access to books. And now they have these magic books.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So that really prevented the book from feeling too light and
Mm-hmm.
unimportant. And I really like how the book really had both extremes and really balanced the whimsy with like the darkness.
Well, and I feel like too with the darkness and the whimsical, it gives it depth. Because if you just have whimsical, like it's very surface, very superficial, and like if you can bring like the light and the dark, that does give it depth. So I could see how that would really bring it home for that book.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. And this isn't the book I'm reading next, but there is a book. I don't know if this book isn't like a series, but these
Okay.
books, I guess, take place in the same world. The author, Gareth Brown, just released another book called The Society of Unknowable Objects.
Okay.
And so the Book of Doors is primarily focused on these magic books that do these amazing things for the people who have
Mm-hmm.
them. Within this same world, the Society of Unknowable Objects is about things that are not books and other things that have become imbued with
Mm-hmm.
magic in this way and how that affects them. So, if you like
Yeah.
this kind of story, there's going to be more where it came from.
That'll be really fun to read. I was going to ask you if it was part of a series or if it was a standalone. Um,
Yeah, it was published fairly recently. I don't think it was published in 2025. Let me just see something. But yeah, it was published in 2024.
okay.
So I don't know if there will be more in this series.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope that there is, but also just exploring all facets of this world is equally satisfying to me.
Yeah. Do you like to read series or do you prefer standalones?
I love a series. I
Ooh.
love a series. I'm less precious about series in books than TV or movies. When it comes to TV and movies, like I love a series. And when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to a movie, I love, a serialized like franchise. I just like spending a lot of time with characters
Mm-hmm.
and watching them develop an arc in a way that can only happen over a longer story.
Yeah.
Um, but because the nature of books is you already have such an intimate relationship with the characters you're reading about,
Mm-hmm.
you understand more dimensions of them.
Yeah.
Um, I'm usually satisfied with how a book can wrap up if it's just self-contained, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
always happy to have more of this character
Yeah.
that I like. What
Yeah.
about you?
So I am a bad series reader because, and it drives my best friend crazy because once I read the first book and I kind of meet the characters, I don't want to keep reading about them.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I feel like authors come up with like this formula, and especially if it's like a group of characters and you like get an in-depth meeting of the first two, and then there's three more books, and like each book introduced like another two and another two. And I feel like the author comes up with like a formula. And so I
Mm,
get really bored.
that's fair.
Um, and it might just be the genre that I read. And so I'm a big one to read the first book or to read standalone books because I'm not a series reader for that reason.
I fully understand that. I I typically, and this is rare, that I will deviate from this. I typically will read a book and then if I like it, I push through the rest of the series. I don't know, it's like you find friends in the books. But there have been times when I know that a book is in a series and a
Mm-hmm.
specific book has been recommended to me and I only
Mm-hmm.
want to read that book. I'm not really interested.
Yeah.
One of my all-time favorite books is called Tracks by Louise Erdrich.
Okay.
And apparently, I didn't even know this until after I finished reading it like a couple years later. It's part of a series, but as written, it's just a book from a dual perspective.
Mm-hmm.
One is an Anishinaabe Native American grandfather, and
Mm-hmm.
the other perspective is this woman. It's been a while now, but I think her name is Pauline, and she is a Native American who I can't remember if it was forcible or if everyone else around her was forcible, but she becomes a nun.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a dueling perspective and how it impacts the younger native children and what it does to the culture built by elders. And it's a really beautiful, complex, tragic
Mm-hmm.
story. And it's just so, to me, it's like almost a perfect book. It's not
Mm-hmm.
fantastical at all, it's just a historical fiction novel. And I have no desire to read any of the other books. I loved all of the characters, but
Mm-hmm.
it's such a good story.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want more after it or before it, you know?
Yeah. No, I can see that. I'm that way, and people don't understand. Like, how can you just walk away? I'm like, I don't feel the need. Like, I'm just happy with this one, and then I want to read something else.
I think it is because people like me and maybe the people who don't understand you, like I'm creative, I'm a writer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of impossible for me to think of characters 99% of the time and not, if it's a good story, not wonder
Mm-hmm.
what happens next. Where do they
Yeah.
go from here? I'm naturally conjuring the stories, and I find if I don't want to continue the story in my head, that I don't
Mm-hmm.
like the book in the first place.
Yeah.
But a good book feels so real to me. It's like ending a phone call with a friend and then just never talking to them again.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Was there anything that you in your book
Mm-hmm.
disliked? Something that made you go, about it?
No, I loved all of it. Like I don't know, like I just really loved all the aspects. And some of it's kind of hard to read, but like it was well written. The story flowed so well. I loved all of it. I
That's
loved the
really cool.
characters. Yeah. And it is a dual perspective, like, and I like that. Actually, it's like a try perspective because it also has a perspective of somebody from the past. So,
Oh.
yeah, it's really like it was a great read.
I'm really glad. We have definitely a lot of guests who read a lot of different kinds of romance on here, so I assume the
Hmm.
listeners also are into that. So I think this is a good, totally different recommendation that's still within that broader
Hmm.
umbrella genre
Yeah.
that I think is going to be fun.
Do you prefer audiobooks or physical books or a mixture of both?
Oh, I definitely prefer a mixture
Okay.
because, first of all, without audiobooks and ebooks in general, my house would not have room for anything. It would just all be books.
Hmm.
I would just have to keep my clothes on the floor because I love books so much.
Yeah.
Um, but also, audiobooks, I can't I can't like clean dishes if I don't have a book on. I can't like do tasks. I just need something
Yes.
more interesting happening in my ear than what my
Hmm.
hands are doing.
Yeah.
Um, but then there are some books that I think are worth reading in a physical form. Like like if it's a really intentional classic work of literature that was written to be on a page,
Mm-hmm.
I want to have that physical experience. Like one of my favorite books, and this might be the most pretentious thing about me. I don't care. But my favorite book is To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. I don't know if you ever had to read that for school or if
Mm-mm.
what I love so much about that book is that I think it is impossible to get the full scope of it in any way that's not a book. And it's the only
Mm-hmm.
book I've ever read that I feel something is truly lost in an indefinable way when you make it an audiobook.
Mm-hmm.
Because Virginia Woolf writes sentences that are really long.
Mm-hmm.
The whole book has maybe 2 or 3 lines of dialogue. There's not that much. It's sort of like, I don't know if you're one of those people that has a constant inner monologue, but I definitely do.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just going all the time. And so
Mm-hmm.
the book is written from an omniscient third person perspective, but almost as the thoughts, like imagine them swirling around someone's head. And as characters
Mm-hmm.
pass each other, you sort of go from like one train of thought into another person's train of thought. And you
Mm-hmm.
just sort of follow them, and the commas in the sentence sort of wash over you like
Mm-hmm.
waves. And there's something very physical about the grammar in that book.
Okay.
But ultimately, for the vast majority of books, I think they just want to tell a story, and the physical nature of the media isn't as important.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so sorry, that was my long-winded answer you probably didn't
I
care
love
about.
it. No.
What
Yeah. I
about you?
mean, previously I was a physical book reader, but then I'm like, gosh, I really need to get my laundry done.
Yeah.
So now with audiobooks, because it is just kind of like it doesn't take a lot of brain power to listen to some of them. So I just put my book on and I get my laundry folded and put away. And it just, you can be doing things with your hands and also enjoying a book at the same time, or working out or
Yeah.
walking. Like, we host audio book walks. So, yeah, you come and meet us, and then we go for a walk and we come back and we enjoy a cup of coffee.
That's really cool. I enjoy that a lot.
Yeah, so I host them on Saturday mornings once a month, and then Joy and her friend Nikki host them during the week once a month.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, while I have expounded on my love of certain print media things, I do think it's worth mentioning that sometimes an audiobook is preferable to a physical book. Sometimes the narrator adds something so amazing that
Mm-hmm.
you cannot get from the
Yeah.
physical book. I think two of my favorite examples, I don't know if you've ever read Lee Bardugo.
Mm-mm.
She does the Grishaverse. It's amazing. She's got this
Okay.
narrator called Lauren Fortgang, who this is like an expansive world. It is fantasy. There's some romance in it. I wouldn't say
Mm-hmm.
it's particularly spicy, but there's romance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this woman's voice, like you're so immersed in this world that not that I'm sure the physical book is great, but wow, the depth
Mm-hmm.
that she can bring to like a character that's a 16-year-old girl or like a 98-year-old monk, like is really
Yeah.
impressive. And then also more of an adult genre, not spicy, but amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Circe. I don't know if you've ever
Okay.
read Circe by
Mm-mm.
oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite books. Give me 1 second, I'm going crazy.
Okay,
Madeline
no problem.
Miller.
Okay. No, I haven't read it.
Highly recommend, and highly
Okay.
recommend the audiobook specifically. I think that narrator won a bunch of awards.
Okay. I will do. I just ordered a book. It's a new release just out this week. It's a Medusa book.
Ooh.
And I'm really excited to read it. So I haven't started it yet, but it sounds amazing, which I've read other versions of Medusa stories, and I'm really curious to see how this one works out.
Yeah, I enjoy modernized takes of her specifically because she's sort of a rich well to draw
Yeah,
from.
yeah, I really love her story. Um, Have you tried immersive reading yet, where you're listening and reading at the same time?
Oh, I have not.
It's
That
wild.
sounds that sounds interesting, but I read faster than I listen.
Hmm.
I often like have to put books on 2 times speed.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would work for my brain, but I am fascinated. What have you done it?
I do. Hold on one second. Yeah, I've probably in the past year, been doing immersive reading because I'll have like the audiobook for when I need to get things done. And then I'm like, but I also like to lay in bed with my physical book and just put my feet up. And so then I was finding myself getting the audiobook and the physical book. And so then I just started like reading while I was listening. And it's pretty cool.
Like physically at the same time.
Yes,
Ooh,
it's wild.
I
Try it
might
with a
try
book.
that with the next
Try it.
fantasy book I read.
It is an experience, and I really, really, really enjoy it.
That is
I don't,
fascinating.
and it's not like how I read, but like when there's, time when I don't have my kids and it's quiet and I'm just really settling in to like read and just enjoy, I
Yeah,
do the immersive reading and it's a lot of fun.
that sounds really interesting. I'd definitely give that a try.
Yeah.
So wrapping up, we have the same 2 questions every time.
Okay.
The scale that we're looking for here is what you wanted out of a book, not how well you think it stacks up against a classic work of literature.
Hmm.
Using that scale, how would you rate your book out of 10?
I would rate this one a solid 8. Like what I wanted out of dark romance is what I got.
That's awesome. What do you think were the things that took away those 2 points?
Um, I think that sometimes I get frustrated in the miscommunication trope, and I
You're the
don't
second
like that.
person.
I'm like, just say what you mean.
I fully
Yeah,
understand. You're the
I
second person who reads romance who talked about that same issue.
I'm like the miscommunication trope. I'm like, oh my God, all these things would not happen if you would just use your words.
Ugh, yeah, I get that. I think for me, for my book, I would give it a solid 9 out of 10. I think the only thing that took me out of it momentarily
Hmm.
was it did keep building. And like as I said, it's a book that the world sort of builds around you as you go. And then
Hmm.
they added another element to it. And there was a moment where I was like, is this too much? Have you gone too far?
Yeah,
But it ties well into how everything is wrapped up and there are no loose ends. So I was like, okay, I am here for this.
yeah.
But that is the danger of fantasy. You want it to feel real, even though it's definitely not and cannot be. And
Hmm.
so sometimes they push it too far, and you're like, will this ever feel real again? Not sure. Um, and our final question, what are you reading next?
Ooh, I just started one called Nocticadia, and it is a dark academia book. So
What's
it's
the name again and the author, please?
Nocticadia and ooh, I can't remember the author. I'll have to look that up.
Hello, Jill from the future again. The book Nocticadia is written by Keri Lake, spelled Keri, and then the word lake. Back to the show. Okay,
And it's a dark academia book. Also
interesting.
spice. Yeah.
What do you think are the defining features of dark academia? Because I haven't read any, but I've heard good things and I want to get into it.
This one, I think the aspects of dark academia is that it's set in like a collegiate setting.
Mm,
Um, and there's, some darkness going on behind the walls.
okay,
And but nobody's like in a mafia or anything like that. They're just generally a dark character.
interesting. Okay,
Hmm.
and
What is your
that
next
sounds
read?
my next read is I'm deciding between two by the same author because I
Hmm.
love fantasy, I love science fiction. But my other great love, inexplicably, no one did this to me, I did this to myself, is culinary history and theory. I
All
just
right.
really like it. There's an author called Bee Wilson, and I've read several of her other books,
Mm-hmm.
one of which is my all-time favorite book called Consider the Fork.
Okay.
And it's the history of like kitchen tools and utensils and how they
Mm-hmm.
shaped the growth of humanity from the very beginning to modern times.
Okay.
And I really love it. And she has two books that I am debating reading next. One is The Heart Shaped Tin, Love, Loss, and Kitchen Objects. And again, the author
Mm-hmm.
is B. Wilson. Um, I think it's really interesting. She has recently gone through a divorce,
Mm-hmm.
and when she was married years ago, she baked her own wedding cake. And as she was cleaning up the kitchen, and the day the divorce was finalized, she accidentally knocks over the heart shaped tin that she made her wedding cake in.
Mm-hmm.
And it sort of is an exploration of how we attach meaning to objects, and especially
Mm-hmm.
in a kitchen because it's the heart of the home. So many core memories are built around a kitchen,
Yeah.
and so I really am interested in that exploration. But the other book of hers that I am considering reading is called The Secret of Cooking, which is her first actual cookbook. Because most of the
Okay.
stuff, like, they're not cookbooks, they're not diet books, they're about
Mm-hmm.
human psychology in relation to food and things related to food. So I
Mm-hmm.
am really intrigued to see how someone that thoughtful about kitchen objects and materials and cultures makes decisions about how to cook.
Yeah. I like that. Have you ever heard about a book called The Gray?
No.
It is written by an author in Savannah, Georgia. And I watched a Netflix series, and she was one of the featured chefs. And then I learned that she had a book, and I read it and I loved it. And it's a story about her as a chef, and then also about how this restaurant came to be. And now I really want to go to Savannah, Georgia.
That's really interesting. That sounds totally up my alley, so I'll definitely be reading that.
Yeah.
And one recommendation I'll leave you with, it is a series, but there's only two books
Okay.
that I know of. There may be more, but it's interesting enough. It's also by Lee Bardugo, who did that other series, The Grishaverse.
Okay.
And it's called The Ninth House.
Okay.
And it is, the author went to Yale, and everyone knows in like the real world there are secret societies at Yale.
Mm-hmm.
um, the author is like, well, they're all magical secret societies because we don't actually know, like in real life, all the things. We know they influence politics and important people are part of them, but
Yeah.
she's just like, what if magic? And
Yeah.
it is very dark academia in that way. So I guess I have read dark
Okay.
academia books, and this particular heroine is at Yale for reasons other than her academic history or social standing. There is no real logical reason she should be at Yale. So, as
Uh-huh.
she is trying to do this thing that she is at Yale for, she also has to be a good student, which she
Mm-hmm.
definitely has never been, and is surrounded by all of these people who are definitely qualified to be at Yale. So, I think that's an interesting story you might like.
Okay. And tell me the title one more time.
The Ninth House.
The Ninth House. Okay. I will look at it.
Excellent. Well, it has been so lovely having you on. And I just want to thank you so much for joining me. You're welcome back anytime.
Oh, I would love that. Thank you so much for the invite, and I really enjoyed talking about books with you.